Right now at 6, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine responds to those rumors that he may join Hillary Clinton on the Democratic ticket as her vice presidential pick. Plus, amateur radio operators prepare for a state of emergency where the power's out and communications cut off. And a Charlottesville cycling studio celebrates gay pride with a ride to honor the victims of the mass shooting in Orlando. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Matt Talhelm. Your news at 6 starts right now.
Live in high definition from the area's most experienced news team, this is NBC 29 HD News at 6.
The shootings in Orlando and the hatred and vitriol that's being spewed across our nation is a reminder that this still matters, that pride is important, and that we need to continue to come together as a community.
Pride celebration in Charlottesville encourages unity in response to the mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Sojourners United Church of Christ is hoping its annual Pride celebration will raise awareness about diversity in Charlottesville. Those in attendance today could not help but keep in mind the families and victims of that tragedy in Orlando, Florida. That is where NBC 29's Spencer Burke picks up tonight's top story at 6. Good evening, Spencer.
Yeah, good evening, Matt. Well, the church has been hosting this Pride celebration for more than a decade. Organizers say this potluck picnic was a timely reminder of what Orlando faced just 2 weeks ago today. This potluck picnic at Sojourners United Church of Christ in Charlottesville is an annual recognition of diversity.
We definitely want people to know that they are encouraged and welcomed.
For 11 years now, the church has organized its own Pride Day celebration.
For any person in the LGBTQ plus community or other communities that feels ostracized and left out and judged, we are a place that welcomes them no matter what.
But this year, for many people, the picnic served as a reminder of the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history.
It makes me more willing to stand up.
Francesca LaMonaco reflects back to the morning she and her family heard the news from Orlando, Florida. They were on their way to church.
Most people at church didn't know. I mean, a few folks did, but it was just now kind of unfolding just then.
2 weeks later, LaMonaco says she feels it necessary to celebrate who she is while remembering those who lost their lives.
There's not guilt. They would want to know that we're here doing this, continuing this good work for them and for everyone else.
Church member Jillian Kaine is just 14 years old, but she already understands what happened at that gay nightclub in Orlando.
This guy, he hated gays, and just that thought of being able to hate somebody that much.
Kaine says having people around to talk about the tragedy makes her less fearful.
I love the people at my church. This is my other family.
Today also marks 1 year since the U.S. Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage. The church recognized that during this morning's worship service.
Okay, Spencer Burke in the studio for us tonight. Thank you, Spencer. Gay pride parades a step off nationwide today with moments to honor those 49 people killed at Orlando's Pulse nightclub. New York City's Pride Parade started with a moment of silence. Crowds lined Fifth Avenue with police predicting a huge turnout this year, nearly 2 million people. Gun safety groups joined the Pride marchers, calling for an end to gun violence. Marchers in Chicago carried posters bearing the images of the Orlando victims. And at San Francisco's Pride Parade, spectators faced metal detectors for the first time and more police on patrol there. People all across Central Virginia are finding their own ways to support the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. Charlottesville's Zoom indoor cycling studio at Barracks Road Shopping Center held its first Pride ride this afternoon. All profits go to the One Orlando Fund, which supports victims' families, as well as the LGBT and Hispanic community of Orlando.
I think the best way to heal is something really, really fun and upbeat, to let yourself grieve, but also have a time to celebrate the lives of those people that were wonderful, amazing, fun people.
With their legs pumping, those riders' hearts were pounding to the pulse of unity. I've taken some of her classes. They'll get you going there. Pride Ride organizers say the upbeat songs and that rainbow light wall right there are a way to celebrate individuality and love. Virginia Senator Tim Kaine appeared on NBC's Meet the Press this morning. Host Chuck Todd remarked that many are speculating Kaine is on presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton's short list for running mates.
I got one job and one job only right now, and that is to work hard for Hillary Clinton so she can win, and especially in Virginia. That's the area where I've been helping her.
Kaine explained his views on abortion and an assault weapons ban. The senator also commented on Donald Trump's remarks about the Brexit vote being good for business, for his business, saying Trump is someone who, quote, always puts himself first. As the city of Charlottesville grapples with its displays of Confederate history, one man would like to see a monument devoted entirely to peace. David Swanson started an online petition asking the city to set aside 1 square foot of space in a prominent public place like the downtown mall to put up a peace pole. Swanson says the city's current monuments represent wars and slaughter. He wants to see something that he says the city is for peace.
And a peace pole is something that lots of towns and cities have put up. It can have multiple sides with "May peace prevail on earth" in multiple languages. We could have English, Spanish, and the languages of Charlottesville's sister cities.
Swanson has reached out to local peace organizations, including the Charlottesville Center for Peace. He says eventually he will share his plans with city councilors. You can find a link to Swanson's petition at NBC29.com. Virginia State Police say a drunk driver was involved in an early morning crash on Interstate 81 that left 1 person dead. Traffic is moving along just fine out there right now. You're looking live from our Union Bank and Trust traffic camera. This is mile marker 215 near Greenville in Augusta County. The accident happened around 5 o'clock this morning, and it closed all those northbound lanes for several hours. State police say 2 vehicles were involved. 1 person was killed in the crash, and 1 driver was arrested for DUI. State troopers are still investigating. These days, many of us have become completely reliant on our smartphones and our computers. But what happens when the power goes out or a natural disaster strikes? That's where ham radio operators in Central Virginia can step in, and they are testing their ability to communicate in an emergency. NBC 29's Rachel Medetoff live now in our Charlottesville newsroom to show us how this works. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Matt. The Albemarle Amateur Radio Club is off the power grid, as they call it. So their saying is fitting: when all else fails, amateur radio gets through.
CQ Field Day, CQ Field Day, this is Whiskey 4 Delta Oscar.
What you're hearing is radio chatter in Morse code.
So when you hear someone say, hello, CQ, 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 that means they want to talk to someone.
Bob Romanko uses voice and Morse code radio contacts to communicate with people all around the world.
I was able to reach a gentleman in Hawaii, and right after I talked to the Hawaiian gentleman, I picked up a guy in Australia. So we went from here to Melbourne.
Romanko is an amateur radio operator, or ham for short.
Whiskey Alpha.
The Albemarle Amateur Radio Club has been working around the clock for 24 continuous hours to test out their communication capabilities in an emergency or natural disaster.
We are entirely separate from the power lines, and we can operate without power.
These power lines connect to the radio waves, throw in the generator, and depending on sunlight, maybe some solar energy, and ham radio operators are ready to go in a moment's notice.
We would mobilize at a location probably similar to where we are now or out in the field, and quickly put up temporary antennas, set up our equipment, and we'd be on the air in under an hour.
For Romanko, it's comforting to know that if cell phones, internet, and power wiped out, he would be able to provide a critical service to the community.
It feels really good knowing that if anything happened here, we'd be able to come in and really help, wherever we're needed.
During a recent fiber optic line cut in Albemarle County, HAM's staffed fire departments to assist with communication until repairs were completed. So they're able to work directly with emergency personnel in times of crisis.
Yeah, pretty interesting technology there. Rachel Medetoff in our Charlottesville newsroom. Thank you, Rachel. The program Academic Exchange is looking for families in Central Virginia to host foreign exchange students for the upcoming school year. The students range in age from 15 to 18. Right now, the PAX program is looking for families at Charlottesville and Albemarle High Schools, as well as Monticello High. PAX says this is a special experience for both the student and the host family.
All the families that have done it, they get to learn about the other culture, and they get to share their culture with somebody from a foreign country.
PACS also needs host families in Greene, Louisa, Nelson, and Rockingham counties. The deadline to apply is this Friday, July 1st. For more information, you can click over to the link we've put up at NBC29.com. The University of Virginia is introducing people to Thomas Jefferson like never before. We'll show you how. Plus, people forced to evacuate from flooding in West Virginia are returning home to recover whatever they can.
And we had sunny skies and low humidity today, whether you're in central Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, or perhaps somewhere in between. So it makes absolute perfect sense that we should have some rain in the forecast for you for Monday and Tuesday.
And the best swimmers in the nation are in the pool in Omaha for the first day of Olympic trials. We will have the early results from some UVA folks a little later in sports.